Hello, my name is Brenda Zank, and this is the Life in Balance series. I'm going to be talking today about finding friends and family wherever you are. We are here at the beautiful Theodore Roosevelt area. It is part of the National Park System, the Timucuan Ecological and Historical Preserve. It's a beautiful area. If you've never been here to Jacksonville, Florida, to the parks, we have beautiful parks. I strongly encourage you to come out and experience it. Through the pandemic, there was a lot of isolation for very necessary reasons, but people lost connectedness. They lost touch with each other. They felt very alone and isolated. And I did a lot of thinking, as did everybody. Being alone made me think about my roommate in college, one of them. I went to a small school in the Midwest in a small town in Iowa. There were 5 girls in our freshman dorm room. Small dorm room, 5 girls. And one of my roommates confided in me. She said, "I feel so alone." And I thought, how can you be alone? We've got 5 girls in this little dorm room. There's 2,500 students on campus. How can you feel alone? And she said, well, I came from a small town, and everybody in my small town knew me. They knew who I was. I knew them. We were really connected. And I thought about that. I thought about that a lot because I didn't know anybody on campus. I was brand new. And I knew my 5 roommates, but that was about it. But the more I walked around campus that first year, the more I started to recognize people. There goes the boy with the glasses, and there's the girl with the braid, and there's that girl who smiles all the time. And in noticing and observing people, I gave them these nicknames, and then eventually I learned their names. That boy with the glasses, that's Michael. The girl with the braid, that's Heidi. And that girl who smiles all the time, her name is Lisa, and Lisa became a very, very dear friend of mine. So the first step in making friends is names. And once you know the name, then you can start forming a deeper connection. Names are very important for connection. If you know somebody's name, you feel more connected to them, and that's a sense of belonging. When I'm out here in the woods, I love to learn the names of things. Not everybody is really into botany and naming things, and that's okay. But it is really necessary to feel a sense of connection wherever you are. And I strongly encourage people to get out in the woods because it's so good for you in so many ways. But learn to name some of the things around you to start developing that sense of connection and finding friends. When you know somebody's name, they start to become your friend. How do you learn names out in the woods? Well, there's wonderful apps that you can use for learning to identify things in nature, and I want to show you how one of those works. It's called Seek, S-E-E-K, and another one is iNaturalist, the letter I and Naturalist. And let me show you how these work. So here is one app. This one is called Seek. It's a green leaf icon. We're going to tap on that. And you don't have to give any of your personal information. It's not going to track you, but you can allow it to use your location to help identify things. I'm going to tap the little camera right down here, and it gives you all sorts of alerts and warnings, and just be aware of your environment. Now, you just scan your environment. So here's a pretty little purple flower down here, and I'm going to bring it down here and click on it to focus, and it automatically comes up and it says species Carolina Ruellia, and it says take a picture. And it tells you about it. Let's see, view species, Carolina Ruellia, or Ruellia caroliniensis. It says it's a native. Carolina wild petunia is a wild petunia with blue or violet flowers that appears in the spring, summer, and autumn. The leaves are light green. The species is native to southeastern United States. And it even shows you a range map and where people have observed it. You can hit the range map for the whole United States. If you really want to get geeky into it, it'll give all of the taxonomy and when it's most observed. So this is a really easy app to use because you can scan anything in your environment and it'll identify it for you and tell you what it is. The other app that I use a lot is called iNaturalist. It also uses the camera. Tap on it there to focus and take a photo. Then I'm going to say, use the photo. And what did you see? And it's going to use the location where you are. It says, we're pretty sure this is in the genus Ruellia. Here are our top suggestions. Carolina Ruellia shows up at the top. That's what we identified with Seek, but it also gives you other options of things that are visually similar or seen nearby. You can get a lot more information from this one. Say I want to know more about Ruellia carolinensis. It will tell about it, it'll give the range maps, and then you can do more info on iNaturalist. And since I'm a science person, I love information. So I want to read all about this and information. It's got taxonomy and statistics and similar species. And here are all the other purple flowers that are similar if I wanted to look up any information. And I, because I'm a sciencey person, can spend a lot of time playing with these things and looking at it. So if you only have a minute, use Seek. If you want to get really in-depth, iNaturalist is wonderful. It also allows you to be a citizen scientist. These observations are logged in iNaturalist and can be used as part of research projects. So you're not only bettering yourself, you're bettering all of science research. Right by this Carolina Ruellia is another plant I want to identify here. So let's hold this over here, and Seek says it is poison ivy. Sure enough, leaves of 3, let it be. Why is it important to know about plants? It's good to know which ones to avoid. Poison ivy can cause a really itchy rash, which is kind of miserable. It's good to identify things by name so that you know what to avoid. Kind of like that toxic coworker, the one who always makes you feel sad and down and drain your energy. If you've identified something that's negative, you can avoid it. You can say hello and keep on walking rather than getting drawn into a conversation which drains your energy. Learn to identify poison ivy, say, hello poison ivy, and goodbye poison ivy. Here's another flower. This is the Ruellia carolinensis, same as the same kind we saw before. The app says it has blue or violet flowers that appear in the spring. Here in Northeast Florida, it tends to bloom in May and June, so I look for it along the trails when I hike then. The characteristic that drew me in was this really pretty purple flower. The characteristics are what get me interested in it and learn to identify it, and that identification then makes it a friend. Just like the characteristics of the people I saw on campus kind of drew me in. The girl with the smile. That smile drew me in, and I learned her name, Lisa. And then Lisa became my friend and is still a lifelong friend. Look for the characteristics of plants around you that interest you. Is it the hanging of the Spanish moss that draws you in? Is it a flower? Is it the form of the tree that is straight and tall? Or is it the tree that's gnarly and curvy? Look for characteristics or things that interest you. Let the plants draw you into them. Learn their characteristics, learn to name them. Let them become your friend. Friends are important. They're all around you when you look for them. And having those friends helps you feel more in balance. Even if you don't have people, friends around available, say during a pandemic, you can be surrounded by a neighborhood of friends. These friends are non-human beings, and they're all around you. The world is really a neighborhood of non-human beings. So now you know a little bit about how to identify friends around you when you're out hiking in the woods or wherever you are, whether it be your backyard or a park. Learn to identify a few plants and let them become your friend. Family. Family is another issue. I learned a lot about family from reading this book. It's called Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. Robin is a botanist, and she writes about plants and links that to lessons that she's learned in life. Robin is also a Native American woman of the Potawatomi tribe, and she talks about trying to learn the language of the Potawatomi people. She says it's a very difficult language to learn because they have very different grammar. The Potawatomi, as most indigenous tribes believe, things are not just things, they are living beings. A tree is not a what, it's a who. And she talks a little bit about that. She says it much more eloquently than I can, so I'm going to read this passage. Imagine seeing your grandmother standing at the stove in her apron and then saying of her, "Look, it is making soup. It has gray hair." We might snicker at such a mistake, but we also recoil from it. In English, we never refer to a member of our family, or indeed to any person, as it. That would be a profound act of disrespect. It robs a person of selfhood and kinship, reducing a person to a mere thing. So it is that in Potawatomi and most other indigenous languages, we use the same words to address the living world as we use for our family, because they are our family. So who versus what? In Potawatomi, if you're learning something new, well, in English you'd say, "What is this plant?" And you'd say, "This plant is a saw palmetto." In Potawatomi, you would say, "Who is this being?" And someone would reply, "This being is saw palmetto." So thinking about these as beings, and these beings are our family. So learning their characteristic makes them a friend to you. What makes them family is that they're living. And we need to learn to respect and honor and cherish the living things around us, the living beings around us. Once something is a living being and part of your family, it makes it a lot harder to hurt that thing. You can a lot more easily take a chainsaw to a what maple tree than a who maple tree. The beings around us are our family. They bring us comfort and joy. Just like your family. When your family is around you, they support you. In times that you're weak, they can be strong. Your family can bring you peace and comfort and joy. The family out here brings me peace and comfort and joy. When I'm feeling weak, they can be strong for me. When my family is weak, when somebody wants to cut up trees, a park, and build yet another strip mall, maybe I need to be strong for them and bring some balance in the world. Being in the woods brings a lot of peace and harmony and joy to my life. I enjoy being out here. I enjoy getting to know friends and feel the harmony of my family. I hope that you are able to bring some balance into your life and spend some time in the woods. Get to know your friends, observe, learn, spend some time with them. Find a tree, a bush, a plant, a flower, something that you can get to know really intimately. Maybe it's a cedar tree. Touch that tree, smell it, watch it over the seasons. Does it change from season to season? Get to know it. Let that tree become a really, really good friend. And while you're out visiting your friend, say hi to the rest of your family. Thanks for joining us for this Life in Balance series. I'm Brenda, and I hope to see you on the trail.